Well, hey everybody, Andy Kvernen here with another Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. This week I had the privilege of speaking at a conference that I used to attend as a worship leader. It was the Evangelical Free Church of America's National Worship Leader Gathering, and our own Pastor Nate gives some leadership to that, and so I had an in, and I got invited to speak there. It was really a treat, really an honor, and I've sort of been reminiscing about my early experience in ministry. It was not just early, but quite a long experience in ministry, about 18 years as a worship pastor, and I was thinking about that today. I remember early on, I was getting used to what I was doing, trying to figure out my role and how to be as good a worship director leader in the church as I could be. And one of the responsibilities was to evaluate talent, to evaluate people in their fit for the ministry needs that we had. And I really enjoy developing people, using people in different roles. And I met this gal who was an artist. She was obviously an artist. She was a dancer. She could do all kinds of things in the arts that were really impressive. And we got to talking, and I said, "Hey, are you a singer as well?" And she said, "Oh yeah, I love to sing." And I said, "Oh, you should come join us." And I sort of hastily invited her into our choir, and we were singing away. And pretty soon she came, and I noticed she couldn't sing. She loved to sing, but she couldn't sing. In fact, she sang really loud, but she sang off-key the whole time. And I realized I had made a mistake. I had drawn some conclusions about her based on her other experience that weren't true. And it reminds me of one of the cautions that Paul gives to Timothy in his leadership of the church. And so here we are in 1 Timothy. These are the pastoral epistles. This is Paul's instruction to Timothy about how to do church in this New Testament era. And one of the things he says to Timothy is this, 1 Timothy 5, verse 22, he says, "Do not be hasty in the laying on of hands." Now, the laying on of hands in the early church was really this aspect of sending people into ministry. At Cornerstone, often we stretch out our hands as if laying on in order to say to our mission partners, "Hey, we're behind you, we're sending you." In the early church, this probably would have been more specific to those being ordained for ministry, those set apart to teach the Word of God and ordained by the church to say, "Hey, we see this gifting in you. We're laying on hands in a public way so that everybody knows, hey, they should listen to you. You're ordained for ministry. You're equipped to teach the Word of God." Paul says, hey, don't be too hasty in that. Don't be too quick in that. Nor take part in the sins of others. Keep yourself pure. He's saying, look, don't be too quick to make an assessment about where people are at. He goes on, he says, "No longer drink only water, but use a little wine for the sake of your stomach and your frequent ailments." He's talking to Timothy about a kind of a personal thing there. But then he says, verse 24, "The sins of some people are conspicuous, going before them to judgment, but the sins of others appear later." In other words, look, until you get to know somebody, you may not realize that they have some significant character flaws that make it such that they ought not be speaking in public. They ought not be teaching and leading from this office of pastor elder. Don't be too quick to lay on hands. He says, "So also good works are conspicuous, and even those that are not cannot remain hidden." In other words, if you wait long enough, if you get to know people well enough, their good works are going to rise to the top. You're going to see their character. And it's a good reminder for me in ministry. I still love developing people. I still love inviting people into great opportunities. But I have to remember, hey, it's okay to take your time. And we don't want to take forever, like years and years and years. Maybe on some things we do for some roles. But we also ought not be too hasty in sending people into ministry before they're ready. We ought to listen to them. We ought to do life with them, make friendships with them, understand where they're coming from, and those kinds of things. And for you, maybe you have an opportunity to invite people into ministry as well. Maybe it's in a different context. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's in your neighborhood or these kinds of things. Paul's saying, look, be discerning. Specifically here, this is for the church. Be discerning as you raise up leaders. And so, maybe even as you hear this, you would be in prayer that the Lord would help us to be discerning as we raise up leaders here at Cornerstone, and that the church in general, in Marshfield, and the church in our region, the church in America, the church around the world would be discerning, not be hasty in the laying on of hands, but but really inviting God to raise up those that he has desired so that the church can be built up. That was Paul's desire for Timothy, and his desire for Timothy's proteges, that he would raise up leaders who taught the Word of God. May that be true for us as well. God bless you, friends. Have a great day, and Lord willing, we'll see you again soon on the Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional.